Everybody, welcome back to my budgeting videos. This is just a quick update on my digital cash envelopes in preparation for payday tomorrow. I thought I would get them all brought up to date and sorted tonight. And let me tell you, the math, once again, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I also need to not shift on this chair because I keep forgetting it makes that noise. But yeah, so let me go over things with you. I'll show you what my calculations are, and then I'll just sort of let you know what the discrepancy is. It's not the end of a world type of discrepancy. I mean, clearly, because it's budgeting, but it's just annoying because this happens every time, and I fully accept all the blame. I just don't understand what I am doing, so I can't correct whatever I'm doing so that I stop doing it. Let me explain. This is the overall notebook that I use for tracking my digital cash envelopes. So if you've watched any of my cash envelope videos before, you'll know that while I will refer to them as cash envelopes, it's Sept for Striker, my cat. You can ignore his category. They're all digital. Where I live, a lot of the stores, like everywhere, basically went cash free during pandemic times, and then didn't really revert back. A lot of places that I go don't like cash, would prefer not to have cash. Some places just flat out won't take cash, so you need to have a digital form of payment. And I found that while I did want to go back to using cash spending in envelopes the way that I used to do when I did cash budgeting, it kept leaving me at a disadvantage in terms of being able to pay places. Go figure. So digital cash envelopes. What I do is the money gets moved over to a prepaid MasterCard, so I can only spend the amount that is on the card, because if I go too far, it cannot go into a negative because it's a prepaid card. So it sort of saves me from worrying about that, at least, but it does mean that I need to keep track of the money a little bit more carefully than maybe if it was actual cash in an envelope, because I can't just stuff the cash back into the envelope, whatever change I have after a transaction, and be like, I'll just count it all up later and make sure that it all tallies, because these are all sitting in the same account. So on my app, the banking app I have for this prepaid card, I can only see the overall balance that's on the card. I can't divvy it up in the card or like on the card app, or whatever. I can't digitally see how it's divided out, so I have to keep track of that to make sure that I'm putting in money for all these different categories, and then when I go to buy gas, there's no money on the card at all for gas, even though I hadn't bought any in a really long time. See where I'm going with this? So I have a notebook where I used to track it by like weeks or pay periods, like I gave like a time frame per page range, but I've actually decided to just kind of keep it as like a running thing moving forward. So I started doing that on the 19th of August, and I'm now up to the 19th of September, actually, because I was just updating it today. And I think I like it better this way, instead of just saying like these pages are for this date range only, because then if there's space left at the bottom and I'm starting on the next page for the next pay period, it just seems like a little bit of a waste of paper. So the last time that I was in here was in the August 30th time frame. So I had done a bit of shopping. I had everything balanced out. My fun category was in the negatives, but otherwise everything was kind of doing okay. And then then September hit. So I went through, I thought I was doing a really good job of keeping the actual physical receipts, and then I went to the pile where I was putting them to keep them for when it came down to like tallying everything up, and I only had 2. So clearly I didn't do a good job. I have no idea where I put the rest. They're somewhere safe, I'm sure. So luckily, because everything is digitally paid for, there's a transaction record in the app. So I just pull up the app and I can see everything that I did. So I don't really know why I bother with the paper receipts, except they make me feel like a more organized person when I have them. But on the flip side, when I forget or I lose them or I just can't find them, they make me feel much more disorganized. So maybe it's not a good idea to be using them. I rolled over from the previous page, like the last line's information. So the numbers from August 30th, rolled them over at the top just so that I knew what I was starting with as I started entering in things from September. So some of these you might recognize from the last like budget with me video, where I put all of the amount from groceries, moved it over to pay off my Visa that's related to like my shopping down in the States and whatnot. And then September 8th was a deposit day, so I put that in green. So two of my categories don't get money: work, parking, and takeout. I can't afford to put money into the takeout category right now, but I live in the hope that one day I'll be able to again. And work parking, I'm currently working from home full time, so there is no work parking cost for me. I added in $32.50 to Striker's category. He's my cat. $120 to groceries, $30 to miscellaneous, $30 to fun, $20 to physio, and $40 to transportation. So these numbers, some of them are a little bit different. This is the pay period that I changed the contribution amounts to some of my categories in an effort to save some money. So it was sort of a trial run to see how well it was going to work. And I think it worked out all right. We'll start with the easy one, transportation. I didn't have to get gas. I drive a hybrid. I don't go many places, so I didn't have too much driving. I do have to get gas when I go out to physio tomorrow, so I will put $50 in it. But I mean, all I did from August 30th through to today was put $40 in on the 8th of September. And then to help balance out my fun category, and I'll get to that, I did withdraw from this category $34.07 to kind of move over. It's just like taking money from one cash envelope and moving it to another cash envelope so that they all balance. I'm perfectly okay with the categories to help, you know, pull from one to help balance another one, as long as everything just kind of flows and I don't run out of money total on the card, I mean. So my transportation balance right now is $91.93, which is perfectly respectable, I think. Physio is also a really easy one because it's very clear what the charges are going to be. They're always going to be $10.50. So it's pretty self-explanatory. I started with 18, took out $10.50, put in 20, had an appointment, so paid $10.50. Now I currently have a balance of 17. Fun is where I clearly get into trouble. So I started in the negatives of $21.40. I know. I had budgeted and I thought I did pretty well because I had a very expensive afternoon tea happening for my friend's baby shower, but I knew about it and I put extra money into the fun category and I had enough to cover it. And then then I went to a market for dinner with a friend, and it was like those little charges at the different stands for the different foods that put me into the negative. So that was what kind of got me. And in a perfect world, I wouldn't have done anything that fell under the fun category for the entire next pay period to make it up, but it's not a perfect world. And I went out with a friend for dinner. In my very meager defense, she is very, very pregnant and due to have the baby any day now. And so we went for dinner last week because she's physically not able to go for a walk anymore. She's under doctor's orders not to. And this was what she felt like she could do, was go somewhere that was really kind of chill and sit and eat a lot of food. And I was not going to say no. So we went. I knew it was going to put me into the negatives, but I thought that's fine, I'll pull from the miscellaneous category, forgetting my miscellaneous category wasn't in the best of shape already. So I ended up negative $34.07 in fun. But I took, as I already mentioned, from transportation, I took $34.07 from that category to move it over to bring it to a zero balance. So at least when I put in money into this category tomorrow when I do my budgeting, I'm not, just bringing it up to a little bit. Actually, it would still be negative if I did that. It would still be negative $4.07. And I didn't want to have to pull out enough money from my budget to not only get it out of the negatives, but get it plus $30. So I am lending myself money at no interest because I'm nicer than a bank. Miscellaneous, I started with $2.85. I got a drink from McDonald's, then put $30 into that category. Then I got, this was actually shown in my what I eat. I got takeaway on Sunday after physio when I was doing errands, and I realized I had done way too much and I was going to get home and not going to be able to cook, but also was very hungry. So picked up a lovely brunch dish to get home. It's $20.05, so that's left me with $7.57 balance in that category, which is better than I thought it was going to be. So I'm not really mad about that. We'll skip over to groceries. I had zeroed it out because I took the full balance of it and paid it over to the Visa. Then I put in my pay period's $120. Then I went, I think that was Safeway. I forgot to write down the store, but $44.86. Then I Instacarted, and I have a little video up about the Instacart grocery haul because I'm still horrified about it. So there's a $54.24 charge for Instacart, but then there's still sitting, showing on my card, $6.76 pending from Instacart, and I don't know. See, this is why I hate using Instacart and Uber Eats and things like that, because it always shows us two separate transactions. One sits as pending for a really long amount of time. I never know when it's going to balance out. I never really fully understand what they're split for anyways. So I've calculated it as if the pending becomes approved, and it does pull out $6.76, because I figured better to over calculate than assume that, like, oh no, that's not actually going to get pulled out, and then have a higher balance than what I really have. So currently I think I have a balance of $14.14 in my grocery category. Which is, it would have been so much better if I had been well enough to go to the store and not Instacart, but my migraine was just killing me. And then Stryker, his category is different from all the rest. His money, his digital money, is not on the prepaid card with the rest of these categories, because his money is like the most sacred thing to me, and I will not dip into his money to cover my butt. His money does not get touched, except for $1.25, which I'll tell you about in a minute, and I think you will find funny. So he started off, he has cash and digital money, by the way. So he's got an actual physical envelope with cash in it. And right now that envelope has, well, when I started, $63.67, and then digital, there's $200.89. I'm really sorry I'm fumbling my words so much tonight. I keep that just in my regular debit checking account. Then on the 8th, I put a deposit in of $32.50. On the 9th, I bought him water. He drinks bottled water. It's a whole thing. Let's not get into it. I buy like these large jugs of water though, and they're $2.64 per jug, so I bought him one. I used to sort of stockpile and buy a whole bunch of them at one time and then just have them here stored up, but I kind of prefer just getting one every week when I go grocery shopping. Just, it's a little bit easier on like me for carrying groceries in and the clutter in my kitchen. So this is going to become a more regular purchase. So then that was leaving me with cash, the same balance, $63.67, and digital, $230.75. Why did that? Oh yeah, because like added the money and only took out a little bit. So it went up. But when I was reconciling and actually counting out his cash, I was short a little bit, and then I remembered when I had his cash envelope with me one time, I went to a store that requires you to use a coin to be able to take the grocery cart. So Safeway doesn't do that, but Superstore and Walmart do, and I can never remember if they need a loonie or a quarter. So I had his cash envelope, and which was great because otherwise I wouldn't have had any cash on me, and I needed the cart. And so I pulled out one of each. So I pulled out $1.25 just to have like in my pocket for when I got up to the cart, so I could just pay for it nice and smooth and not be fumbling with this at the cart area. And then I decided this is the one time I will dip into his money for a whole $1.25, and I've left it in the little zip purse that I use as my wallet, so that when I do go to a store that requires a coin for the grocery cart, I have that. I actually have one of those universal coins that you can put on a keychain, but it doesn't work at, is it the Walmart or the Superstore? One of them it doesn't work at. I can't remember which one. It works at the other, and I don't know why it wouldn't work at both. I mean, I don't know, but for whatever reason it doesn't. So I stole from the cat, but you know, don't tell him. So that is the book. The book is all up to date. And then I did update, these are the actual paper trackers that go in, where's the envelope? This goes in this envelope. In case you can't tell, I like cute things. So these all fold up and go into this envelope and comes with me when I go out, when I know I'm going to be doing some shopping, so that if I'm able to, like once I get back to the car, I can just really quickly write down on the paper in the moment, but also so that when I'm out, if I'm like, oh, I'm going to duck into the gas station to get gas, I can take a quick peek to make sure that I have enough money in that category. you know, it like they're smart to carry around with me, but for what, and I was actually doing a really good job of that. But for whatever reason, this past week or week and a bit, I keep forgetting the envelope. I have no idea why. Or I go out not thinking I'm going to be purchasing anything, so I don't have it with me. And then when I'm out and about, it's sort of like, ooh, yeah, this is the super convenient time to go and run this errand. How much is in that category? I do not know. So I kind of go and guess and hope it all balances out. So then these didn't get updated very regularly, and you can kind of tell because they have gas, not so much because it only had a couple of things. But you can see here, fun, all these different lines are all done in the same ink and sort of all look the same because I did them all tonight when I was reconciling everything. But they are all up to date. They are getting ragged looking, I know, but I don't have a better system yet because I really like the envelope. It's a good size for all of the various bags that I use, and I don't want to cut these papers down to make them fit because then I'm wasting a bunch of paper, because like that's like a lot to cut off, right? So I'm going to keep with these even though they do start to look a little bit ratty. And this is the first one since starting this system of tracking that's actually being filled completely to the bottom, and I now have to get a new page for. So it feels a little bit like a momentous moment. I mean, not really, I'm just being goofy, but you know, it is showing that like I am actually sticking with it to some degree and still trying, so I think that counts for something. And my tidiest one is the takeout one because I have nothing because I don't give myself a takeout category. I am wondering if I should eke out like $30 to stick in there, not with the intention of using it within like the next pay period, but to like hoard, so that when something inevitably does happen, because things happen, especially with this concussion where I have a day where I just can't cook, and then I'm coming home from a physio appointment and I'm like, I don't have money for takeout, I can't pick up anything on the way, but I have to eat something when I get home, and then it's just sort of quite the battle. But having said that, I've figured out the battle every time, and if I give myself an out, then I'll know that I don't actually have to like figure something out that fits within my budget. I can just be like, well, this is what I have it for. So see, I've already talked myself out of it, so I'm not going to do that, but I am keeping the page because like I said, there is the hope that one day I will get that back. So these are all of the current ones. I have physio tomorrow, and then the striker wasn't separate. I think that should be, oh, and I'm gonna get gas tomorrow. So I almost said striker and gas. Physio and gas tomorrow. So those will get updated. Well, they'll all get updated tomorrow with their new deposit amounts going forward from that paycheck. And then a couple of them will be deducted from almost immediately. And in all honesty, I'm not going to get my budget done in between the time I finish work and I head out to physio. So actually like the gas and potentially the groceries, I'll put that category like into a negative because I know I'm coming home and doing the budget and like moving the money around right away. So I sort of hope I don't mess that up. Yes, so I wanted to tell you though how the math is not mathing. So before I put all of this in here and made it all tidy, I just did kind of a rough draft because I knew I had a lot of lines of information that I had to fill in. And I was like, instead of like risking making it messy on here and writing it out and whatnot, I'll just do it on, you know, in like a coil notebook on a piece of paper, get all the lines of information, make sure the math is all correct, and then it's fine. So I did all of the math, and even when I use the pending, or I don't use the pending amount because I thought maybe that at first was the reason I was having a calculation error, the amount of money that my calculations say is sitting in the account right now and the amount of money that is actually sitting in the account right now are not the same amount of money. So right now in groceries I have $14.14. In miscellaneous, $7.57. This one is balanced up to 0. Physio has 17, and transportation has $91.93. So $130.64. And see, already that's different than what I calculated it out to and wrote down on the paper beside me. I must be hitting things wrong on my calculator really badly. Okay, oops. 1414, oops, 757, 0, 17, 91, 93. Okay, $130.64. The card balance, when I open the app, says that the balance is $115.76. So the numbers don't work. And when I did the math originally, it was actually what I calculated for what I had was lower than what was in the account, and I was like, okay, I don't know how that happened, but this is great, because then like the difference I was going to use to fix the fun category and bump up the miscellaneous a bit, because I need to mail some stuff, so I'm gonna have to pay for postage somewhere within the next week. But then like I redid the math, and but every time I get a different number, so I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not gonna bore you with the messy notebook, because honestly, like, I care, but I don't care enough to actually figure it out, because this happens every single time. It doesn't matter if I'm super on the ball and every transaction gets tracked in the moment in this book and on the actual like the tracking page. When it comes to like the end of the week and I'm reconciling everything, my numbers never match the balance that is on the card. And I know part of that can be if there's like a pending charge or something is sort of sitting and processing still, but oftentimes there isn't something pending or something processing. Now I do know, because of the nature of the card, I do get interest like earned on the card, and so like those small amounts can throw some stuff off here and there, but I really don't see how that could be enough to like be the difference. So I'm just sort of left in confusion, and every time I do the calculations and they don't match, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be doing digital. Maybe I need just a different system is maybe what I need, because like clearly, even though I'm trying my best to keep track of things, something isn't working, but I honestly don't know what. And since I don't know what, like I said, it means I don't know what to fix. And if I don't know what to fix, I don't want to scrap the whole system, because maybe it's just user error with the calculator, which I know sounds ridiculous, but it's kind of the best I got right now. I don't know. But here we are. Either way, if I go by the card number that the app is showing for what the balance on the card is, or I go by the number that my calculations have given me, things are balanced. All of my categories are either at a zero or have some money in them. Tomorrow is payday, so they will all get a contribution put into them, and we will start this whole little ride of trying to track the spending with the digital cash envelopes for another 2 weeks all over again. Thank you so much for sitting through all of my rambling and my crazy update. I will talk to you in probably the next budgeting video. Is going to be the next one that I film, because that'll be tomorrow on payday. Very excited for payday. I hope everybody is doing really well out there. If you use cash envelopes in whatever variation, I hope your math is better than mine, because otherwise they're frustrating, are they not? Have a great day. I will talk to you all later. Stay safe. Bye.